Welcome to the Skinny Podcast. It's the weekly poetry edition. I'm Richard Skinner, local12.com digital sports columnist and editor, along with Rick Broering, who's on the road in Mount Pleasant, Michigan, where he'll be broadcasting on this Thursday evening as we're doing this podcast. The Northern Kentucky University Central Michigan Chippewas. Is that right? They're the Chippewas, right?
Yeah. That's right. You got
it. There we go. All right.
Unlike on the last game we watched on ESPN Plus, they played. I won't say who they played because I don't want to call the broadcaster out individually. But the guy who was calling the game was calling them the Chippewa. Singular.
Chippewa. Just one. Maybe they're playing 1-on-5.
Like they're a deer or something.
Maybe. We got some Bengals to get to. We got some college football, college basketball to get to, our betting segment. No Ask Skinny Anything questions this week. Rick is on the road and quite busy and quite swamped. So simply put, just didn't get a chance to get to those.
Well, you guys got to send them in too. I didn't get any new ones.
Okay. Well, and if you do and you come in late to this shindig, we'll ask them next week.
That's right. All right, Skinny, let's get started with the Bengals on this show because there are a few different things I wanted to talk about. The big story this week, though, has been the Joe Burrow, Joe Flacco situation at quarterback. Burrow, a full participator in practice. Flacco, not so much, still dealing with that AC joint injury. Is there a chance that Burrow's actually going to play this Sunday?
I don't think so. I think this is everybody's fanning the flames for some reason. Listen, the plan from Zach Taylor on Monday was we're going to work Joe into 11 on 11s this week. Burrow meeting. I got to do this different. I can't say Joe's each time. They're both Joe's.
That's right. That's right.
To work Burrow in 11 on 11. He was asked point blank on Wednesday, will Burrow be a participant in 11 on 11 practices? Yes, he will be because that's been the plan. Flacco this has been the last 2 game week Wednesdays. He did not participate because of the AC joint. He then threw on Thursday, was a limited participant. I would expect that to be the case today because that's the plan for him to throw. He says he feels fine. He says his body feels fine. He probably won't participate on Friday. This is a great chance to get Joe Burrow some work, but not get him prepped for this game. I don't see this. I think Zach fans this a little bit just to maybe have a little gamesmanship because they're not lying. He's a full participant. When you participate in 11 on 11s, you are a full participant in practice. Does that mean you're ramping up to play in this game? No, I can't imagine. Unless somehow Joe Flacco has the weirdest setback of all times. And this is, again, this will be the 3rd straight game week of this regimen. No practice Wednesday, throw on Thursday, do not be a full participant, do not participate on Friday, start on Sunday. That's been the plan. That's what's happened. And I don't see that changing at all for this game. Joe Burrow's had 1 11 on 11 practice, and everybody thinks it's now he's ready to play. I mean, that just sounds too far-fetched to me. And let me just tell you this, and I wasn't the only one that noticed this. A couple other reporters. So I get done with Joe Flacco's press conference, and I had to go talk to a couple players for a story I did on, the other weapons, other wide receivers stepping up, blah, blah, blah. And so I'm walking out of locker room a little bit early, probably 3:45, and it closed at 4. And I see Burrow sitting in his locker. And, dude, he looked a mess. He looked shell-shocked. He was half staring into space. It looked like he just faced 60 straight cover 0 blitzes and barely lived to tell about it. Now, again, is that because he went through a full practice and it took a toll on him physically just because of that? Was it because the pain is still there? I don't know. He looked just shell-shocked. Like he had PTSD. It was weird. And that guy's going to start on Sunday?
Skinny, let's take pretty much everything else out of it. Like all of the, is he ready? Is Flacco hurt? All of that stuff. Just let's say Burrow actually is. He's feeling good. He feels like he's ready to come back this Sunday. Would you do that anyway? Like, would you play him in this game? To me, I feel like it's already a lost cause. The idea of rushing him back, and again, I know that's a relative term. If he's telling you ready, if the doctors are saying he's cleared, then you may not be, quote unquote, rushing him back. But again, this is clearly earlier in the timeline for him to be back than we were expecting. Would you play him in a game like this when, in my opinion, I know they still are mathematically in it, but they're basically out of it at this point?
No, if he's 100%, and it's not a matter of pain management, it's a matter of you are 100% feeling no pain and you look good. And by all indications, Joe Flacco was even asked, how did Joe look? Said Joe looked good. Okay, I'll take your word for it. You're a quarterback. You should know what look good looks like. I'll give you that. But again, if this is a matter of pain management versus 100%, then no, I'm not going to play him in this game. I'm not going to rush him back for this. I'm not going to do that at any point.
Though, doesn't there need to be some level of considering his injury history, considering what these games are worth, and thinking about the future going forward with the Bengals? Like I just don't understand.
We've talked about this. This is just not how, it's not how NFL players operate. It's not how NFL teams operate. If you're able to play and you're good to go, you're going to play. If you're one of the better guys, I mean, if you're a backup guy, you're not going to play. But I mean, no, that nobody operates in that window of, oh gosh, what if he gets hurt this year? Yeah, what if he does? What if he gets hurt in the first game of next year? What if he gets hurt in training camp next year? All that's on the table. You just can't live in that world.
I get it in most cases. I mean, like, Skinny, think about baseball. It's nothing to shelf a guy for the last 30 games of the season if you're already out of it because you don't want to put more wear and tear on his arm if he's a pitcher, or you don't want him to, if he's been banged up, you don't want him to be injured.
Or he's already showing discomfort, and that's fine if you're already showing discomfort, and that's where I go back to this. If he's showing any level of discomfort, then no, I'm not going to play. It's not a matter of putting a steel toe plate in his foot and go, man, I hope you don't get banged on. Let's see how things go. And you're like, yeah, I'll just grip him. No, man, this has to be 100% you're good to go. And here's the other part. When you're coming back from something this, it's not catastrophic, but it's certainly significant. Most NFL teams go by the let's get a week of practice in and we'll add another week. And I think that's where we're at. Last week was 7-on-7s, get him to throw and see what it looks like. This week's get him some 11-on-11s because we know what Flacco's plan is going to be. So we'll get Joe some of those reps or a chunk of those reps in 11-on-11s, and that'll get him in. And then next week, short week. This is kind of his ramp-up week for the short week going into the Thanksgiving night game.
Yeah, to me, it is not worth the risk. I just don't understand. You've got a guy. If this was, Joe Burrow's first injury in his second or third year, then yeah, I'm not worried about it as much. But at some point, and it might have already happened, this might have been the one. He's not going to be Joe Burrow anymore. He keeps taking these injuries. He's not going to be the same guy. Maybe that'll be the case as soon as now. But I don't understand the idea of putting him out there with a terrible offensive line, a defense that has no chance to win him games, and say, yeah, let's just see if this toe's good. Let's see if it all worked out well. Why not just give him extra time to make sure it's 150%?
And Zach Taylor wouldn't be the first coach to be able to do some gamesmanship when it comes to stuff like this. Like, hey, well, might play. Will Flacco start? I don't know. Let's see how the week goes. I'd play that game too. I mean, any doubt you can put in another team's head of who's going to be the quarterback, I think it's not an awful thing, and you're not subjugating the rules. He was out there practicing in full yesterday. That was the plan all along. And he's listed as a full participant. And everybody just jumped to the next moon of he's going to play on Sunday. No, it doesn't mean that. It means exactly what the plan was yesterday. He's going to practice in full. Flacco's not because he hasn't the last couple of Wednesdays. They've got a plan for both. And listen, if you're Zach Taylor and you can play that game of, we'll see how it goes. I don't have to make a decision today. I don't have to speculate on this. Well, sure. Why wouldn't you play that game?
Yeah, I'm totally with Zach Taylor and what he's doing. This is nothing against Zach Taylor, the way he's handled this. I think more so I'm reacting to the fans who are like, Burrow might be back. Burrow might be back Sunday. He should play Sunday and all that. I don't really understand the excitement for Burrow to be back this season. I would rather him not play another single game personally.
Yeah, I disagree on that part, but I'm the same as you. I mean, to me, again, him coming back makes me go, great, he's back, and this defense still sucks. So what difference is it going to make?
Yeah, and in fact, it's worse than that for me because I'm terrified of the idea that he takes another bad hit and like the next one, Skinny, we're all going to be under the impression that he's not right anymore and he's just not going to be back. So I just don't know that I want to play that game this season. But like you said, that's not how the NFL typically operates, and I'm sure it's not how they're going to operate here. I would definitely like for them to wait longer into the timeline, though. I definitely don't want him back earlier than we expected, or saying they rushed that timeline at all when we look back.
No, and I'm in full agreement with that. Like I said, this isn't a matter of, hey, I'm just going to manage the pain. I can do this. No. You got to be 100%. There's no we're managing the pain part of this program, my guy. You need to tell us, and we need to know and see it look 100%. We can't see it like you wince when you take a step to your right, or you evade the rush to the left, or you have to roll out and you're kind of favoring it, and you'll be able to see that. Nope, we're not going to do that. You're not going to tell us I'm going to make no. Now, listen, if you're in a playoff hunt, maybe the conversation is different. But when you're really not, then no. I'm with you on the part. He has to be 100% to be able to go out and play, and I don't think he's there yet. And I don't have any reason to believe he should be there yet.
Agreed. I would feel
by the way, you know what I'm frightened by? I'm frightened by watching Geno Stone try to tackle somebody again.
That is a legitimately concerning thing. Yes, that is a real problem for this entire organization right now. Skinny, I'm sure you're probably already tired of talking about Jamar Chase's oral leakage, but if you don't mind humoring me for a few questions here, how bad of a look is this for Jamar Chase in your opinion?
It's bad. I mean, let me say this: Jalen Ramsey is a flat out punk. I mean, You
Yeah.
remember, I mean, AJ Green gave that man a beat down, and
Yeah.
AJ Green was one of the most mild-mannered human beings on the planet. Whatever was said there, we all regretted when AJ was in town. I think as ruler of the jungle, not too long, I think it was last season, that we didn't ask him, man,
What Jalen said.
what did he really say to you?
Yeah.
Because you never were gonna ever expect that reaction from AJ Green. And he is a punk. There's no question. Jalen Ramsey, he gave a cheap shot to Jamar Chase in the game, and so that starts the process of them going back and forth. But the spitting is not a good look, and then to lie about it after the game's an even worse look, in my opinion. Just, you know what? If you did it, man up, own up to it, and be done with it. I know there were some other people that questioned, why he didn't talk to us on Monday when we asked as he walked by. I will say I don't blame him for that, because if he was going to appeal it, the last thing he needed to do was talk to us and say something stupid, right? So you're just going to keep your mouth shut until the appeal process was heard, and it's always heard very quickly, which it was, and the suspension was upheld. But yeah, I think it's a bad look for Jamar Chase. But I will say this. I kind of agree with Zach Taylor that listen, this isn't going to define Jamar Chase. This is probably a one-off, and he's done a lot of things this year to make you believe he is trying his ass off to be a leader. He got the captaincy, after all these tough losses. I think he's faced the media and said the right things. Maybe people perceive some of the things he says the wrong way. I have not. I think he's tried his hardest to not say, yeah, this defense sucks and I'm sick of it. He hasn't done that. He's said a couple of times, hey, man, I play offense, not defense, bro. Okay, that's fine. You're right. It's a fact. And I don't think we can read between the lines all we want, but I think he's done a really good job of that. I mean, there's nobody that works harder than him, nobody that cares more than him. It is a bad look. It's a worse look to lie about it, but I'm going to take this as a one-off because a punk got under your skin, and shame on you. You got to be I know it's hard in the heat of battle. I know it's hard. I do, but this is what this guy tries to do.
Yes. So spitting on people is not a good look in general. Like, probably shouldn't spit. It's pretty disrespectful. It is weird though. It's like become all of a sudden recently, everyone's acting like spitting is like maybe the worst possible thing you could do to another human. And I'm like, I mean, they've got a bunch of pads on, and so it's not like it's me walking to you up in the middle of the street and me spitting in your face or onto your chest and like rolling down your shirt. It's a little bit different on a football field, I feel like, where there's spit, sweat, all types of other bodily fluids flying throughout a game, and you get in a scrum at the bottom for a fumble, and guys are doing all types of crazy things to each other. Football is just a little bit different, I think, in this case. But either way, it's a disrespectful thing to do. I don't spit on people. He shouldn't have done that and all that. The line, like people getting so worked up about the line. Again, I go back to if he's in a situation of thinking I could get fined for this, I might have to appeal this, all this stuff. The last thing you're going to do is confess and admit to, like, if it's not even, you haven't even been fined yet, the last thing you're gonna do is, yeah, I spit on someone, go ahead and fine me or suspend me, NFL. So I don't blame him at all for lying after the game, because why would you tell the truth about that situation when no one's caught it yet officially? I mean, I know the video had made it to social media by that point, but he doesn't know that he's been caught red-handed and that he's going to get fined, and then potentially there could be a suspension coming if that were to happen. I know that's not the case now, but we know that now, but we didn't know that at the time. So I don't have an issue with the lying part of it. And then, like you said, the talking to the media about it's like, one, if you're going to appeal it, you can't really do that. And two, what else are you going to say, really? I mean, I guess you can own up to it and say, yeah, I spit on it. I shouldn't have spit on the guy. But if I'm Jamar Chase, I'm kind of like, just Jalen Ramsey's a jerk off, and I want to move past this situation.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I think in the post game, if you knew you did it, I mean, I guess you thought you could get away with lying about it. I think that's a
But
worse
again, you
look.
think it's reasonable to not do that if he's worried about appealing, but you don't think you don't think he'd be worried about that before he even got the infraction?
I mean, I think I would have answered with, I'm not going to comment on what took place between Jalen and I.
That's fair. Yeah, he could have just said, I'm not going to comment on that.
Yeah,
and that would have been a better law.
Exactly. I think more people are ticked off about him lying about it than they are about the actual spitting, to be honest with you.
I don't understand that part, though. That's just like, why would he admit to that in that moment?
I'm not asking him to admit to it. Just don't lie about it. Just give the, hey, whatever happened between Jalen and I is between Jalen and I.
Yeah, I that does sound better, but does it really make much of a difference there? I mean,
no, it does, because you didn't lie about it.
Yeah, I get. I don't know. I don't see that as like a significant lie. It's him and Jalen Ramsey talking crap to each other, and did you spit or not, to me, is not a big lie in that moment. I don't really care about the moral stance in this situation like other people seem to, because Jalen Ramsey's an asshole.
Yeah, no question. But you know that going in, and that's where, to me, just just grit your teeth. Listen, man, I've coached. AAU basketball is the worst trash talking sport on the planet. And I always, man, when I coached, I said, you guys can say what you want, man. But I'm telling you what, you get teed up one time, just pack your bags, you're going home for the weekend. So you tell me how you want this to go. I think it's stupid. I think it's silly.
I'm going to guess Zach Taylor did not take that approach with Jamar Chase and tell him he can pack his bags and go home.
Well, the NFL told him he could pack his bags and go home because that's exactly what's happened.
They said $500,000. I mean, that is a significant fine for spitting on someone, isn't it?
Dude, I haven't looked at my 401k lately. I'm kind of hoping I got $500,000 in my 401k. I mean, think about that.
Jamar Chase just spit your retirement out on Jalen Ramsey.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, I wrote that as a lead on Monday about, the NFL.
Spit your retirement out? That would have been a good lead.
No, that he's fined. The one spit cost him $500,000. And when you write that and phrase it, it does hit you in the face. Like, good God, that's a lot of money to do that. These guys, it's a drop in the bucket. I fully understand that part of the program.
But again, it still has to burn, though, does it? $500,000 is still $500,000 for something that seems like a totally inconsequential moment.
It's a nice car for these guys.
Yes, and they do a lot of Jamar and T do a lot of that. They're at car shows all the time.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. All right, do you have anything else on the Bengals or switch gears to college here?
No, I mean, listen, that was statistically their best defensive performance in a while, and it still was awful. I mean, the Steelers, the two most yardage they've gained against teams this year are the Bengals on October 16th and the Bengals on Sunday. And oh, by the way, they gained the second most yards despite having 2 defensive touchdowns. So please don't tell me that it was a better performance. Statistically, yes, absolutely. They didn't give up 500 yards, but it looked every bit the same mess. Like Barrett Carter looked like a chicken with his head chopped off. The one silver line was Miles Murphy actually played well. And that maybe that's a nice step in the right direction for him, but I need to see it a second straight week. And good Lord, I know they have no confidence. I've talked about this on the podcast before. They have no confidence in the backup safeties, and maybe Dejon Anthony coming back, they'll give him a run at it. But I just don't know how you can put Geno Stone back out there when he gives no effort to tackle anybody.
Well, Skinny, that's my problem. I mean, the point about it being like a better performance on Sunday, I would argue they almost look like they're playing less hard. They almost look like they're starting to give up on defense. And to me, it's so inexcusable because it's a bunch of young guys playing for their jobs and their future, playing to stick around in this league at this point. These guys are, for the most part, bottom of the barrel NFL players right now. You would think they'd have everything in the world to play for. And to me, it looks like, I mean, maybe it's just the fact that they're not good, but it looks like there's a lack of effort, a lack of flooding to the ball when it's time to tackle.
Yeah, this was the first game I felt that, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think that's fair, but to your point about it, quote unquote, being a better performance, I don't think there's any way you can make that argument if you watch the game.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I'm just saying from a statistical standpoint,
yeah.
and maybe Geno Stone's mind like, look, you guys asked me to take a pay cut, and now you're going to ask me to tackle for a bunch of losers. The hell with you guys? I mean, seriously.
Yeah, maybe that is his mindset.
What other excuse can there be? I mean, that effort on Darnell. I know, man. If I saw Darnell Washington coming at me, I'd probably duck cover, but I'm not getting paid to tackle him. You are.
Yeah, allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly.
All right, let's talk some college football. Cincinnati loses to Arizona 30-24. The Bearcats are basically out of it at this point. I saw a write-up, I believe it was on ESPN, about teams' chances still to win the Big 12, and UC's chances were put at 1% now, Skinny. So definitely a daunting task. They need a lot, not only for them to win the next 2 games, but they need a lot to go right in their favor for them to have this thing break down and they end up in the championship.
What has happened to Brendan Sorsby?
Seems like teams have kind of figured him out a little bit, haven't they? I mean, the weird thing is they're selling out on the run to stop the run, and he can't seem to get it going.
I mean, his last 2 games, he's 26 of 59 for 360 yards and 3 interceptions. Woo.
And again, I mean, if you listen, I love listening to Tony Pike. I think yes. Dan Horde and Tony Pike calling those games are the best broadcasting crew we've had in Cincinnati in a long time. I mean,
so I drove to Pittsburgh with Paul Dehner and Jay Morrison, and we met up we picked up Jay in Columbus because he went up there for a function with his wife. But I met Paul around 12:30 up in Kings Mills. So we literally listened to basically the whole game driving to Pittsburgh, and we kept saying over and over again, geez, Tony Pike's really good. And Dan's always great, but I mean, Tony is really, really good.
The combination of those two is, I mean, Dan, like you said, Dan's always great, and he has such a good flow to him as a broadcaster. You add Tony in, and now all of a sudden you have this amazing expertise. And Tony's superpower is his ability to like diagram a play with his words and
Mm-hmm.
still make it sound clear and simple enough that I can understand in a car radio as I'm driving
Yep.
and half
Yep.
listening. And like
Yep.
constantly a play happens, then he tells you exactly why it happened, why it worked or didn't work. I love that. And then constantly throughout the game, he's kind of talking about, when UC's on offense, here's what the defense looks like. Here's what the defense is doing. And a lot of things he kept saying is they're daring Sorsby to throw the ball right now. They're filling the box. They're crowding the box. They're daring him to throw the ball. And, UC couldn't really get it going through the air in this game.
And it's so puzzling, the lack of Joe Royer. I mean, for a guy who's supposed to be a first-round NFL draft pick, the underutilization, and again, I mean, teams can't take everything away. I mean, if they're taking him away with doubles and clouds, then somebody on the outside has to be open. And I don't know if Sorsby's making a first read decision and going too quick on that. I honestly don't know. He's a mess at the moment, and they're a mess. And here's what's going to suck. If you're a UC fan, is you should have come out of this year with a ton of enthusiasm. Like Satterfield, he did what we needed him to do,
Yeah.
and look at us. And boy, we almost made it to the Big 12 championship game, but it still was a great. I mean, this could end in 7-5, go to an awful bowl, and end in 7-6. And what did that do for you? It saved the guy's job. That's literally all it did for you.
Well, that's exactly what it already did. I mean, Satterfield clearly has another year after this. And that's what I'm starting to wonder too, Skinny. Are we going to be in a situation here in 2 weeks where the UC fan base is actually in a worse spot mentally than they were at the end of last year?
Right.
Because at the end of last year, they're thinking, all right, another year of this and this guy's out. Now you go through another year where, okay, it was exciting for half the year or more, but you get down to the end, you're like, well, did we really beat the good teams on our schedule? Can this guy really win when it matters? The offense is falling apart here towards the end. And like you said, you end up at 7-6 or even 8-5 with a goofy bowl win. How is the fan base going to feel about where they're at? And my guess is not great.
No, I'm with you, because this will be a third straight season where it's collapsed at the end. The only thing that saved this is you built up some cushion when if the collapse happens. It feels like it's on its way to doing that.
Yeah, great year for the coaching staff.
Yeah,
they saved their jobs. They did what they needed to do in terms of staying employed. I think there's no real concern there now. But for the fan base, it's probably not going to be great if this goes the way it's starting to look. What do you think their chances are in these last two games? Because it's not easy.
It's not easy. I mean, BYU's really good. I mean, I think people can look and go, well, they got smacked by Texas Tech. Texas Tech's really good. And then you're on the road to TCU. And, I believe UC, and I don't have a line in front of me, Rick, we'll get to our lines in a little bit. I think UC is a slight underdog here. I believe they'll be an underdog. Yeah, I believe they'll be an underdog at TCU. So conceptually, you can easily lose these two games.
Yeah. Ohio State beat UCLA 48-10. These are basically exhibition games that Ohio State is playing right now. I mean, truly, they're playing guys I didn't even know were on their roster in these games in the second half. The one thing, though, that is coming up that is a bit concerning, I think, is the wide receiver injuries. You've got Carnell Tate not even playing, and Jeremiah Smith did not look right in this one. He was definitely, now he made a hell of a catch, but he was definitely a little gimpy, didn't look to have his normal sort of speed and braking going on. Do you sit guys against Rutgers? Do you consider that if you're Ryan Day? What would be your strategy here?
Very much so, because right or wrong, I don't think Michigan's very good, but it's still the rivalry game, right? So you still, you need to be all out to win that, and then you get to the Big 10 championship game, and you sure better have your guys all right by then, and then you get into the playoffs, and you definitively have to have your guys right. So yes, to answer your question, it's me, and I don't feel like. I feel like a week of rest is the better thing for guys like that. Then I'm going to do it, because you're going to hold Rutgers to 10 points or less. And even if your offense sputters a little because you don't have your two-star wide receivers, you're still going to be able to do some decent things to score enough points to win this game handily.
Yep. All right. Kentucky beat Tennessee Tech 42-10, Skinny. You were right. They've got a little momentum rolling. They're confident now. Let me ask you this, though. It kind of goes back to what we were just talking about with Cincinnati. What's the fan sentiment like for Kentucky fans if Stoops loses these last two?
That's a great question. I think they would check out on him. Like you've got yourself a chance to probably save face and make a bowl game, and maybe it'll take the rival to do it, or maybe you get some cushion going. I mean, right now this team's got a chance to finish 8-5. As goofy as that sounds, I don't think they probably do, but they've got a chance to do that, which would include a bowl win. I mean, it's probably going to be a meaningless bowl win where a lot of guys check out on both sides, but you got to 8-5. I mean, at the very least, you've kicked the can of paying him off down the road, at least coming off of a bowl season with feeling like, okay, maybe there's a chance to right the ship here a little bit. 5-7 depends, I think, on how they lose these games, because obviously Vandy's a really good team. Louisville's kind of slid here of late, so I'll be interested to see what that feels like when they play Louisville in a couple of weeks. Louisville has had a couple of really bad weeks in a row, and don't look right on top of losing games. So, I think, again, you go to a bowl game, in all fairness, you saved your job. You probably saved his job anyway because of the buyout, but at least you feel like, okay, you did probably all I could ask you to do this season. When you played Ole Miss, which is going to be in the playoff, and you played really good Tennessee, which just has an offense you can't stop. You were toe-to-toe with Texas, which might be in the playoff. I mean, that's pretty doggone good in my opinion.
We're going to talk about it in a second here, but what's actually helping him right now is Mark Pope's struggle.
No question. No, who would have thought you'd be more optimistic about Mark Stoops today than you are about Mark Pope today?
But that's how it works at Kentucky. Like, the focus is always going to be on the basketball team. So, if basketball is going great right now, then everyone's looking back at the football team saying Mark Stoops is a loser and we got to get him out of here. But you start to turn the football around, you're playing a little bit better at the same time as the basketball team opens their season struggling, and now all of a sudden all the focus is off of you. You're fine. Mark Stoops has always loved Kentucky. He's our guy. He's sticking around. He's hanging in there. There are always going to be fans who hate the coach and always want the coach fired. That's just how sports fandom works, especially in today's era. But there are enough people at Kentucky that have felt like Mark Stoops is in a tough spot in the SEC coaching here. He's done good for us, and he's given us a lot of good years, that they don't really want him to fail. They want him to fix it and get it right. And so I think they're willing to get back behind him in a way that Cincinnati fans aren't for Scott Satterfield. And I think that's understandable.
Well, can you imagine? Go back to the night of October the 25th. I think I've got my timeline right here, Rick. If you get time, if you can look up Kentucky's basketball schedule, I'm pretty sure I've got this right. On October 24th, the Friday night, Kentucky played Purdue in Rupp Arena in an exhibition game, and Kentucky won. And everybody was like, wow, this team is legit, man, because Purdue played their guys. I know they said they treated it like an exhibition game, but the minutes played by their main dudes didn't make it look like it. And the next night, Kentucky got boat raced by Tennessee. And so on that night, you're all in on Mark Pope and you're all out on Mark Stoops. And man, in a month, you flipped the script on that entirely.
That is completely changed. And it's just the weird thing about being the football coach at Kentucky. You're only the focus, the center of attention until basketball starts. And then once that happens, things change for better or for worse. A lot of times it's for worse. But in this case, for Mark Stoops, I think it's been a help to him. I think people are much easier on him right now than they otherwise might have been given the season that they've had.
Yep, no doubt.
All right. It's time for our pick'em segment. We both went 4-4 last week. You are now at 36-40. I am at 38-38. We both got our pick of the week right, correct? I don't have it here, but I know I had.
I know I got mine. I can't remember what it was. It was UConn, I think. No, it wasn't UConn. It was somebody.
It was a Thursday night football. NFL
that's right. It was. I gave up 12.5, and they won by 13.
Yeah, we both won. Just trust us. We both won our pick of the week. I didn't write them down here.
I had the Patriots minus 12.5. Some places it closed at 13, so some places that was a push. I feel bad if you got it at 13 when I gave it out as a best bet, but I did give it out as a best bet at 12.5.
That's correct. And so you covered by half a point. All right, Saturday at noon, we've got Rutgers at Ohio State. Ohio State is a 31.5-point favorite. The total is 54.5.
Even though I do think they sit whatever key players that are injured, I don't see Rutgers doing much in this game. I'm going to go Ohio State 41, Rutgers 6.
41-6. I'm at 42-7. So we're right in the same line of thinking. I think Ohio State probably sits guys in this game. I don't think it matters. I just think their defense is so good, Rutgers isn't going to score, and Ohio State always seems to cover for the most part. So, yeah, OSU and the under for me as well. Saturday at 8 p.m., at 3:30 p.m., we've got Kentucky at Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt is a 9.5-point favorite. The total is 52.5.
I'm going to go Kentucky to cover and even win the game. Kentucky 27-24. Here's Vandy's last 4 games. They beat LSU at home by a touchdown. LSU stinks. They beat Missouri at home by a touchdown. Missouri stinks. They lost at Texas 34-31, but that was the crazy backdoor cover. I think it was 34-16 with just a few minutes to play. Then they were all out to beat Auburn 45-38 1 week after Kentucky went to Auburn and won 10-3. The Kentucky defense actually at the moment's on a roll. I mean, they're stopping people left and right. And I know it was Tennessee Tech, and I know it was Florida, I know it was Auburn, but they've given up 20 points in their last 3 games. And that's I don't care who it is, that's pretty good in my opinion. And so I think they can do enough to slow them down. So I'm going Kentucky with the outright win.
All right, so you're going Kentucky outright win. It's 27-24. That's UK and the under for you. I'm going to go I'm going to say Vanderbilt covers this one. I'm going to go Vandy 35, Kentucky 24. So that is Vandy and the over for me, right? 59.
2.5. Yep.
Vandy and the over. So that brings us to 8 p.m. on Saturday, where number 11 BYU invades Nippert to take on the Bearcats. A 2.5-point spread in favor of the Cougars. The total is 54.5.
I'm going to go BYU 27-20. Their one loss at Texas Tech, I watched that game, and Texas Tech is just really good, and they just stymied them. BYU's really good, in my opinion. UC is going backwards. We've seen this script before. When it starts to slide, it feels like it's a monumental slide. And again, if this was, a Baylor or somebody like that, I'd be fine with saying you can stop the slide. I just don't think you stop the slide against the BYU team that's fighting to get in the playoffs themselves.
Agreed. There's so much to play for BYU. It is Nippert Stadium. It is a night game. There's going to be a great atmosphere there. Cincinnati's clearly better at home. But I'm going BYU as well. 31-24, BYU and the over for me. You were at BYU and the under at 47. So a little bit of separation there on the total. And that brings us to Sunday at 1 p.m. We've got the Patriots at the Bengals. The Patriots are a 6.5-point favorite. The total is 50.5.
I think this opened at 7.5, and I think there were a lot of people, I'd probably include myself, that thought this might go to double digits, and it's gone the other way. I think part of that is coming off Thursday night games, even though you feel like, well, you got the extra rest, you got the extra preparation time. It feels like teams don't always come out of that break so well, and it's the NFL where human nature is, I just won a divisional game, albeit against the god-awful Jets, but it was a divisional game. We know these guys stink, but you're on the road, and goofy stuff happens in that circumstance in the NFL. That being said, with the line being less than a touchdown, I got to take the Patriots here. I'm going to go Patriots 31, Bengals 23.
All right, so you said Patriots 21?
Patriots 31.
31.
Yep, 31-23.
23. And that is Pats and the over. I'm going to go 28-14. 28-14 Patriots, so Pats and the under for me.
Okay.
Do you have a best bet, Skinny?
I do, believe it or not, because I think the Steelers stink. I do. Watching them in person twice, I just don't think they're very good. The Bengals gave them 2 gift touchdowns. They did enough on offense to go win the game with checkdowns simply because the Bengals defense is terrible. But now they're going on the road. The Bears are playing pretty well at the moment on both sides of the ball. They snuck one out against Minnesota, but they actually kind of won that game with their defense, 19-17. They're back home. I think their offense gets rolling a little bit here. I think the Bears minus 2.5 over Pittsburgh is the best bet of the week.
All right, Bears minus 2.5.
Yes.
I would love to give you a best bet. Maybe I will tweet it out, but every time I try to go to another website on my computer situation here, it threatens to shut us down. So you're going to have to
why don't you just do this? Blindly play against Georgia State again.
Yeah, I'm picking whoever's taking on Georgia State, taking that spread. Take the points against Georgia State.
There you go.
There you go.
While we talk
right,
college basketball, I'm going to try to look that up while we talk some college hoops.
Thank you. College basketball real quick. Kentucky loses to Michigan State. That was the big story of the week. That was at Madison Square Garden, 83-66. Kentucky fans are starting to melt down on the basketball side of things. There's already concerns that Pope is not the guy. Obviously, there are concerns about this year's team. Skinny, how severe should the concerns be from the Kentucky fan base?
I think it should be severe, but I think that's a monumental leap to make that he's not the guy. Has he built a bad roster? Perhaps. It sure looks like it. Are some guys underperforming? No question about it. I think that's the upside. And what sucks is it's out of Mark Pope's control that Jalen Lowe, the true point guard that they have, got hurt. You could argue should have gone out and gotten another point guard. I mean, Denzel Aberdeen was going to be your serviceable backup and play other spots in a rotational basis. I don't think in today's college basketball you can have a contingency for everything. Maybe you can, or maybe you should. I just don't know if it's feasible financially to do that. I know people keep bringing up it's a $22 million roster. Nobody knows for sure if that's true. It's probably in in a decent chunk of change or whatever they're paying them. I fully understand that because they still have to play in the non-conference. I'm doing this off the top of my head. They still have to play Gonzaga in Nashville, North Carolina in Atlanta, I believe, Indiana, and St. John's. I think at St. John's or at Madison Square Garden. So those are still some really tough non-conference games. If you go 2-2 in those, lose 4 in the non-con, go in conference and lose 6, you lose 10. You don't get the seed you thought maybe you got, but you're still solidly in the tournament with a good enough seed. But there are some things this team has to fix. I mean, it sounds like there's some infighting for whatever that could be. Could it be over NIL? Could it be over roles? He's riding Brandon Garrison when he probably shouldn't. It just feels like a discombobulated roster with discombobulated combinations that maybe shake up the combinations and see what other combinations look like. I'm going to give him a chance to fix it because in a vacuum, if you will, losing at Louisville isn't awful. They're really,
Louisville team looks really good right now too.
And losing to Michigan State isn't awful. The way you lost it looked awful. So I get it. It looks, the optics of it are terrible at the moment, the way this team is playing. And maybe they don't dig themselves out of it. Maybe Gonzaga smacks them and Carolina smacks them and St. John smacks them and Indiana smacks them. And then you're looking at the conference going, good God, can this team even beat anybody on the road? That's fair. But I think it's a little too early to completely jump to hasty conclusions.
I agree. I mean, we talked about that last week, how he won some big games last year, and that was kind of a narrative that Kentucky's back. They're winning big games again. So I think the idea that like Mark Pope can't do this or he's the wrong guy or it's something about him that's causing them to lose these games is probably a little bit too strong. But I don't understand why this team looks the way it does right now, Skinny, because I was excited about that. I mean, we were talking about it what feels like 2 or 3 weeks ago where we were talking about this could be a Final Four contender. Like Louisville and Kentucky could both be Final Four contenders. They played Purdue and we were talking about like, yeah, this team is good enough to be a Final Four type team. Now, granted, I understand that was an exhibition game and probably took too much from it, but I still just watching the pieces that they had thought, man, they've got a lot of parts here, a lot of talented guys. I think they'll be able to figure this out and be really good this year. I know they're still waiting. You know, Jaden Quaintance is a big part of what they did in the offseason. They'll have to figure that out and implement it. But it is, I think we're seeing two things. One, the impact of the NIL era, where everyone's a mercenary and you're just trying to pull everyone together. And Mark Pope's system, I think, is a little bit more, you know, he had to do it last year, obviously, with a group of new guys. But I think his system is probably, in the past, has been benefited by the fact that guys stick around and they have institutional knowledge of it and they start to learn it. I also worry a little bit right now is, can he coach without having really skilled guys? Because last year's team, you had some real shooters on it. This year's team doesn't quite have that. They have some good shooters. They have multiple guys that can make the three, but they don't have like the Kobe Bryas that can light you up and really fit into what Pope likes to do on the offensive end. I'm a little bit concerned about that part of it, that maybe he didn't put the right type of roster together for him. Maybe he got a little bit too caught up in the portal game, the higher prospect game, the getting the better athlete so we can defend better game. And now he has a team that doesn't quite fit his offensive system as well as he would like.
Yeah, but it's weird. Like one of the returning parts, Otega Owe, is not playing like the preseason SEC player of the year. And then, you know, you got two high-profile recruits in Malachi Moreno, Jasper Johnson, who are Kentucky kids, and it means more to Kentucky kids, right? Trent, no, it means more to Kentucky kids. So you should have some buy-in on the roster from the Kentucky kids and the returnees, Garrison and Elway. And it just feels like it's all discombobulated, despite the fact that you actually kind of started from a good place before piecing the pieces together.
Yeah, the Owe thing is huge right now. I mean, he's just not anywhere near the same player that he was late in SEC play last season when he looked like one of the best players in the country. And no matter what you thought when Kentucky was putting together this roster and the transfer portal, a huge part of it was, well, they've got Owe back. They've got one of the best players in the country back. They're going to be in a pretty good spot. And he's not playing anything like that, right? He's okay, but he's not, you know, all SEC good or best player in the SEC good or best player in the country good. And that was the expectation for him when they were putting this roster together. So that's a big part of what they're dealing with right now, I think.
Yeah, and again, I mean, Jalen Lowe is a highly thought of point guard. Like that was your point guard, and you've pretty much been without him, especially in in big moments and big games. And you may not have him again this year. And so you're gonna have to adjust to that.
That's gonna be a real problem if that's the case.
The only part is with the zoom action stuff, you do play a lot of it through the high post. So if can I get a point guard to just get me into my zoom stuff? I mean, I know you're not running zoom stuff on every set, but they run it a lot.
Well,
Can you
they
not just
also don't have the Amari Williams piece
well,
this year.
and that to me is the bigger factor. I mean, like, would Diobati be a better guy to play there, and you play a little bit smaller? Do you have him be that guy, and Moreno plays as opposed to Brandon Garrison, but he plays more off the ball as a screener and as a putback guy? I mean, I think those are the things that he has to figure out at the moment. Like, do you need to get Cam Williams on the floor more because he shoots it, and when you don't have a lot of shooters? There's a lot of figuring out to go. All I know is you can't keep running the same combinations out there.
All right, Xavier beat Old Dominion 99-69 on Tuesday night. 30-point win for the Musketeers at Cintas Center. Skinny, is Xavier showing signs of life after that one, or is that just Old Dominion was the right matchup for them?
So where I coach high school basketball, we had a scrimmage game on Tuesday night, and I got in my car about 8:30, and Xavier tipped at 7, and I kind of had, the sound wasn't all that loud. I guess I turned it down for something, but I could hear the game. I was getting ready to turn it back up, and I heard Xavier make a bucket, and it was one of those ones where I heard Joe Summer go, that makes it 84-51, and I kind of went, wait a minute, did he just say 84-51? I went, there's no way. So I was driving, stopping to get something to drink on the way home, and when I stopped, I'm like, I got to look at my phone, because then I don't think I heard another score because I was pretty close where I was pulling over. I looked down, and at that point, it was 86-51. I went, oh my gosh, what in the world is going on? And so I'll ask you, because you were there, was this a great performance by X, or is Old Dominion just that bad? 4 guys got 20 points each.
Yeah, so I think there are a couple of things. One, Xavier definitely looked better. They basically just stopped messing around with their bigs. Anthony Robinson was giving them nothing after he started.
He didn't even play until the second half, right?
Correct. He didn't come in until 14 minutes left in the game. Then he only played 7 minutes. And he had only played 8 the game before that. So they're going smaller. Jovan Milicevic, who's a stretch forward more so, a three-point shooter, spot-up guy, is playing the center position for them now. And All Right is in the mix, playing more point guard for them. So I think the new lineup, the different starting lineup, definitely helped get them going on the offensive end. The second part is they threw in a ton of threes in this game. 16 three-pointers, tied for the second most in school history. They hit 19 against Oklahoma several years back, but this was as well as you can shoot the ball, so that helped them significantly. And then from a matchup perspective, Old Dominion, I'd written this in my preview article at Musketeer Report, that they're a team that turns the ball over. And the one thing Xavier's done well so far this year is they've been able to force turnovers. Now, when they haven't gotten the turnovers, it's led to dunks and layups at the rim and wide open threes, but they have forced a good amount of turnovers. So I was thinking, if you can force some turnovers against these guys that are lower level guards, then you might be in a good spot. And that's what happened. They got some good free runs to the basket in transition early. They got some open threes. And I think just the confidence and decisiveness that they were playing on offense from that point really made them look a whole lot better. So it's a combination of the two. They looked better, and Old Dominion was the perfect matchup. The question is, can they actually look better when they play a better, more talented team? And I guess we'll get the chance to see that Friday night against Georgia.
I was going to say, you got the weekend to see probably 2 games like that to see if there is a sign of life, or if this was just a one-off because Old Dominion stinks.
Yeah, exactly. All right, what about the Bearcats, Skinny? They pounded. They didn't pound. They struggled a little bit with St. Mary's. Ended up winning the game pretty big. Any thoughts there on UC, who's been, I guess, a little bit sluggish to start?
Yeah, we're going to find out tomorrow night when they play Louisville. I mean, we're going to find out Friday night. Are you able to match up with a team that good? Because that's what you're going to face in the Big 12. That's a Big 12 high. That's a high caliber, program in general. But this would be a top end Big 12 type team. Yeah. Let's see what you do on technically a neutral court. That it doesn't sound like there's going to be a lot of fans. It doesn't sound like they've sold a lot of tickets for this event.
How is that possible?
Because from what I understand, I haven't looked. Apparently, it's a third party that's running this, and apparently ticket prices are just off the charts.
I mean, that's insane though, that they could make them expensive enough that UC and Louisville fans aren't going to go see each other play. I mean, both of those fan bases usually do pretty well, I feel like, selling tickets.
Yeah, somebody said the other day they looked maybe a couple days ago at the seating chart for what was available, and he said it looked like they sold 9 tickets.
What?
I know that's not the case. That was an exaggeration, but
yeah,
it sounds like there's a lot of seats not sold at the moment.
Wow. That is surprising to hear.
Well, I'm going to tell you this. Now, this is going to sound goofy, but you're going to have 27,000 people down the street at Paycor watching St. X and Elder too.
Well, that's a great point. I kind of forgot that those were coinciding. I mean, this is going to be a crazy weekend in the city, is it not?
Yes. Yeah.
You got a lot going on locally here. UC's playing at Dipper. The Bengals are in town. And you've got the Yeah, FC. There's a lot going on here. So going to be a wild weekend. Skinny, any other thoughts? We don't. I mentioned we don't have any Ask Skinny Anything questions. I don't have anything else here on my sheet. So what do you got
I
for me? Anything?
I got nothing else for you, Rick. All I know is it's been a dreary 3 days here in the tri-state. We need some sunshine again, Rick. We need some sunshine. Although, you know what? I loved Tuesday. So I don't want people to feel sorry for what I do, but NFL Sundays are just, I mean, they just beat you down. And then, of course, you got a car ride, back that we got back at like 1:30 in the morning. And then Monday's a work day, and we had to deal with all the Chase stuff. So Tuesday's kind of a day off. I ended up doing a couple of stories, but it was kind of on my time, and I wasn't in a hurry to do them. So I got up. Everybody's out of town. They're visiting my youngest daughter in Florida. They're moving her. She's moving condos and getting a different roommate. So they're down there helping her move. So it's just me and the dog. And Tuesday, you were here Tuesday, right? When it was raining and storming
Yep.
a little bit. So I took her outside right before it started to pour at like 7:15. We came back inside. All I had on was the TV in the living room. All the lights were off. It's dark outside. I'm like, this is awesome. And I just kind of like just laid there for like 3 or 4 hours and did literally nothing other than play with the dog for a little bit. And then she slept with me for a little bit. It was like, gosh, this is awesome. I know everybody loves the sunshine, and I do too. But there are just some days where I love overcast and rain because there's nothing you can do, and I had nothing to do, nowhere to go for a period of time. We had a scrimmage game that night, so I didn't even have to go to practice in the middle of the afternoon. We weren't playing until that night, and I was looking forward to that. So it was just one of those rare days where you're like, this is a good day.
I tell you what, sometimes it's hard to beat a dreary, rainy day when you can just stay in and camp out. So it sounds like
Yep,
you got to enjoy that.
for sure, for sure.
Good deal. All right, that's all we got.
All right, thanks, Rick. Enjoy the call tonight. Look forward to next week's podcast as well. We'll do this obviously next Wednesday, with next Thursday being Thanksgiving Day. We'll have another Bengals game to talk about, perhaps Joe Burrow playing, or next Wednesday, maybe getting ready to play the next night when the Bengals play in Baltimore. More college basketball, college football, and so much more. For Rick Broering, I'm Richard Skinner. It's been the Skinny Podcast, the weekly potpourri edition, presented by Blake, the Attorney Maislin.